Welcome to Inside Auto Podcast, where we feature everyone and anyone you'd want to talk to in and out of the automotive industry.
Ilana Shabtai here, host of Inside Auto Podcast, where we interview top GMs, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders in and out of the automotive industry. Before I introduce today's guest, this episode is sponsored by AutoLeadStar.com. AutoLeadStar is pioneering marketing automation in the automotive industry with sophisticated machine learning that future-proofs the dealership's marketing automations and replaces traditional marketing methods. I also want to send a special thank you to Pete Peterson, CEO of Dealers United, who originally introduced us to today's guest. So without further ado, I'm excited to welcome Mike Renaud, Vice President of Leader in Cars Group. Mike is a self-starter who has experience ranging from door-to-door sales to public speaking to managing high complex dealership and diversified marketing plans for several multi-million-dollar campaigns. Most recently, Mike has operated 4 franchise dealerships and negotiated extremely successful BuySell as well as partnership agreements. Mike, thanks for joining us today.
Hey, Ilana. How you doing?
I'm good. Thank you.
Great to see you. Thank you for having me.
We're
great.
so excited to have you.
Thank you.
So, like I mentioned when we were introducing you, I'm looking forward to learning about what happens to marketing during a buy-sell. So I know you oversee a lot of things at the dealership, but I'd love to know what are some of the most important things or must-haves for marketing departments during a buy-sell? And you just recently went through this, so it's all fresh.
Yeah, and it's very important because first of all, you have a marketing department that, and a dealership and everyone in a dealership that kind of sees an end date, right? Mm-hmm. That buy-sell date, be it, September 30th or January 1st, whatever it is, that there's an end date. They know these campaigns, these things are ending, and not just like it ends on a normal month where it's something that carries forward and you just make those tweaks and changes, like it's over. So you have to do 2 things. One is you got to get your staff in a mindset that we're pushing and driving all the way to the end here. And you need to have those conversations with them and make sure that, their head is in the game and still focused on it. You have to make sure your campaigns are still performing. You have to be careful of the staff and the quality degrading as people's heads are going in different directions in a buy-sell. And when it comes to the marketing departments, you need to still do that, but you do it in a different way. So you start, right? You have different parts of the funnel that you're attacking in a marketing and advertising campaign, right? Mm-hmm. So when you have those different things, you start ending the long-term campaigns.
Right.
Okay. You start cutting back those long-term, top of the funnel customers, the repeat customers. You don't have to do that anymore. Those are the customers you're not trying to engage. Now you're just trying to take the entire funnel and jam it through into your store and sell as many cars as you can and get as many cars through service as you can between the time you've made that decision and the buy sell date. So what you're doing is you're cutting, you're not spending on that long term, but you're taking that money and you're driving everyone out of the funnel that you can, kind of like squeezing that rag there.
So you're saying if you look at the funnel, like brand and awareness and potentially a little bit of consideration, you just kind of end all of that and you put everything into just intent, buy.
Exactly. Get in here, come on in, 20% overbook on your car, every campaign that, key swaps, this, that, you just throw every bottom of the funnel campaign you throw at the customer to drive them through. Because, everyone's always talked about a 60, 90-day funnel. It's probably even shorter right now.
Right.
But you take that, you take everyone in that funnel and you drive them through in that time when you get to that end of that buy sell. That's a very important thing because what are you advertising for? The next guy? You don't want to spend money for the next guy. So you're really just, stay focused on you. And that's important for marketing. Those 2 aspects, keeping people's head in the game and understanding, let's clean our funnel. Let's get whose lease is coming up in 6 months, 8 months. Let's get those people out of their cars, make deals.
So what were some of the tools or softwares that helped you with that? Maybe CRM mining or even just like what was most what was most successful for you in terms of the type of channel? So search, display, social.
So yeah, so you're driving those campaigns that, you know, either I found or you find for yourself that are the most successful at the bot. Again, that
At the bottom,
clean
right.
funnel, right? You're cleaning that funnel. So what are my campaigns that clean the funnel? You know, I'm going to get rid of all my high, brand campaigns across the board. They're all gone. No more branding campaigns. We're going to stick to model lines. We're going to stick to real intenders in Facebook. Get rid of the evergreen campaigns, all that stuff. And you're just going after that intender. You're staying with your successful Facebook campaigns. You're just spending on that model line, that bottom of the intender in Google, and then you're hitting your lease retention list. You're going to your OEM list. You're going to your internal list, and you're hitting all of those customers and getting them out of their cars. Because if you don't get them out of your cars right now, the next guy's going to, because all your data is going to that next owner, most likely.
And that brings me to my next question, which is a great transition. Let's talk about data for a second.
See how we did that?
I saw how you did that. That was wonderful. Helping me out here. How do you preserve data, and is it important, especially when there's process and management change? What does that look like?
Well, listen, it's important because, you know, we all want to see people succeed, and you're most likely selling a dealership not to someone you might be selling them to a current competitor, but in the future, once the buy sell is complete, they're not your competitor anymore, right? So you want to be an honorable person, you want to do the right thing, and you want to make sure that data is intact and has integrity, because most likely in the buy sell agreement, you're selling all the data is going to the new owner. Okay. So, you know, and we all know, everyone watching this knows, the biggest problem with data is garbage in and garbage out. And it goes back to that question that you asked earlier about the marketers. What's the biggest thing? Is the same problem your desk managers are going to have in a buy sell, same problem your service manager is going to have, and everyone down is going to have, is everyone's worried about their job. Everyone's worried about change and the new guy and everything else. So everyone's getting sloppier and making more mistakes and all that stuff. So you're ending up with sloppier and sloppier data, deals that are a mess and everything else. So that challenge, again, of keeping people's heads in the game, getting them to understand, that change isn't so bad, and, whatever you have to do to explain to people why you have to focus on your job right now and what's in front of you right now to make sure that data stays, just because you want to do the right thing for the next guy.
Yeah, that's interesting. I actually would have thought that it would force the dealerships to do more of a deep dive and clean up data, because it's like, okay, we got to clean house here before we hand this off.
Nah, a lot of dealers just, here you go, here's my junk, take it. And that's kind of happens a lot. But myself, here's my junk, see you later. Now it's your problem. I don't have to deal with this problem anymore. And
then typically, are they staying in the same CRM and DMS? Because that's a whole nother project.
No. Some, like the one we just did, they completely changed the DMS and CRM. We were a Renaud store. They went to CDK, and that's a tough transition. That's a tough transition. I still talk to a lot of the staff over there, and the younger staff, they're fine. Reynolds, CDK, whatever, we can figure it out. The staff that's been in the business for a while, who has been on Reynolds system for almost their whole career, CDK is a change, a big change.
I can imagine that. How long did that take, that transfer?
Oh, they do it. That transfer starts like before the buy sell.
Wow.
So everything's arranged. Yeah, right. So everything's arranged. Like the next day after the buy sell, CDK was in there doing training, setting up printers. It's quick. It's the learning curve is the problem.
Yeah.
The data transfer, all that stuff, we do that in the weeks leading up to the buy sell between the buyer and the seller.
And you said you switched CRMs as well?
Yeah, they did. Yeah, when they bought, when we did our buys, let's see. No, everyone was on Reynolds already. We changed CRMs.
Right.
Like one of the buy sells we had a couple years ago when we bought a dealership, they had higher gear still.
Oh, I'm not even
So,
familiar with that.
yeah,
As
see,
someone who
I'm
entered
dating you now.
the automotive industry
But
in 2016, I don't know what that is.
yeah, so higher gear was like, it was like a cartoon.
Well,
So we changed that. But so, yeah, I mean, listen, you want to conform all the dealerships in your group to one. You get better deals with vendors. You get, staff that you can interchange between stores without problems and things like that. So whoever's buying, they're making the change. They're going to change the systems, especially today.
Yeah, for sure. So in a way, well, it's sloppy it's also a data cleanup because you're transferring and you're cleaning and you're unifying and streamlining.
Yeah, but you're leaving it to vendors to clean up.
Right.
Right.
Well, dealers always leave
CDK,
everything to
Renaud,
vendors.
all the vendors, they'll offer, oh, we'll clean it up, we'll do a match, refix the addresses, blah, 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 blah. Just pay me an extra so much per record or whatever it is.
Right. And so through all of this, and it seems like you've been through quite a few BuySells, what's the biggest challenge for you when it comes to marketing? And you've spoken about some of them, right? So making sure that the staff is still really motivated and making sure that your campaigns are in tip-top shape and getting the results that you want. Are there any other challenges? And then how did you actually overcome those challenges?
I think, well, that's a good question. So I think it all goes back to and stems to the biggest challenge of a buy-sell is keeping your staff set in the game.
Right.
Okay. That's why countless owners don't tell anyone about a buy-sell until the day before.
Wow.
Right? Ours, this most recent buy-sell we went through, I mean, it was supposed to happen so many times, and it ended up being like an 8-month-long drag out with closing dates changing constantly. The staff became completely fatigued because they knew about it for way too long, and it was just something that plagued in their head for way too long. So that, of course, is the number one challenge, hand down. Okay, so how do we get through our marketing things? So it was really what you had to do is open up your marketing a little bit and dissect everything. Okay, where are we going? Where are we spending? What are the individual campaigns? I mean, we used in that, not to toot your own horn here, but we used Auto Lead Star to help us break down what are the campaigns, where are they hitting customers, where are they touching customers, where in the funnel is these Google campaigns, because I can break it down to each individual specific campaign. Oh, that model line is actually a high funnel campaign. We didn't even realize it because we've never dug this deep in the data in a while. So, we can get rid of that campaign. Oh, wow, this whatever branding campaign actually is hitting and attracting bottom funnel buyers. Let's focus there. Let's keep that campaign. So we were able to go through each campaign and kind of look at them individually, see where they were hitting, see where customers were coming from. And you talked about data cleaning. We actually did a marketing, a cleaning that after, when we were done, we were like, God, we should do that every, quarter.
Yeah.
What a great way to look at it. But it took time. It was more than half a day of locked in a room, staring at a computer, not doing anything else. And even with the simple, easy way that Auto Lead Star kind of lays everything out for you and finds it, it still took time. You have a lot of, people don't realize how many Google campaigns they have running at a time, or how many Facebook campaigns you have running at any one time, to break down each one individually. That it was tedious, but it was very good. And I think, buy-sell or not, it's something people should find time for every quarter.
And is that something that you're going to now implement every quarter?
Oh yeah, of course. What a great way to do it.
Yeah.
But again, it's great in theory. And I hope every quarter I can make my time to do it. That's the other challenge, is just making sure you make that time in the day to do that. Yeah.
Or having those conversations with vendors and saying, these are the goals that I want to make sure we review at the end of the quarter. Let's, put that on the calendar, and we can do it together. And I think you should do it together.
Exactly.
I think it's important for dealers to understand their data, and not just rely on the vendor to say, here, this is what we found.
No, that's what's so important. You have to find a way to get around your vendors and see what's actually.
I mean, this also is why I think it's so important for every single dealer to have access to their own ad accounts. I mean, this is a conversation that it was a very hot topic, a year ago or 2 years ago. I haven't heard since. Maybe a lot more, third parties are allowing for dealers to have their own login, but I do think that dealers must be able to see on a campaign, ad set, I don't care, level, what's going on in their data, because then they can do cleanups like this. They can see and they can understand what's top of the funnel, what's bottom of the funnel, what's working, what's performing. So I think you are a great example of a dealer that understands that and can use that to drive different results for the dealership.
Yeah, we've always owned our accounts. We've always had our own accounts. It was always a number one thing for me. Someone taught me that early on. You own your AdWord accounts. And it's been successful for us because you can see what's real and what's not.
And that's also probably easier to transfer after a BuySell as well.
Yeah. Well, you don't transfer a lot of the marketing stuff. I mean, you transfer we transferred over the AdWord accounts.
Mm-hmm.
The AdWord accounts went over, but and that helps. Again, you don't have to do it. If it's written into the buy-sell agreement, into the APA, then fine. It's in the APA and you transfer it over. If you're smart and you're entering a buy-sell and you're buying something, make sure you put the AdWord accounts in, because then you have all that history. You're not starting fresh with retargeting data anymore.
Yeah.
Okay. You have all that retargeting data. You have everyone to hit. Nothing starting fresh. You have all that history because you're hanging on to that AdWords account.
Yeah, I think that's a very important point.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the plan for the store for the next couple of months? I see it looks like you're at the New Rochelle Hyundai location.
I'm at the Hyundai store now. And we have the Huntington store. Now that we're a part of the Empire Group, we have they have many more stores, and we're a part of that family. I think the biggest concern, like everyone, is what's the inventory going to look like? With Hyundai, we're pretty lucky. Hyundai has a nice supply of inventory right now. Their plants are still working. Korea handled COVID a little better than the rest of the world.
Yeah.
And so we're doing okay with that. On Mazda, my Mazda store has under 100 cars in inventory.
Wow. Wait, and Garden City, what happened with Garden City?
Not a lot coming down. What's that?
Sorry, what happened with Garden City Mazda?
So that was completely sold. New Rochelle Hyundai, Huntington Mazda were partnerships, and Garden City Mazda was complete.
Okay, so Huntington Mazda is still having inventory issues just because of Mazda.
All Mazda stores are right here in the Northeast right now.
So what are some of the campaigns you're doing or implementing now, even with low inventory? You're trying to do, the trade in your car without buying a car from us to get more inventory. What are you?
Yeah, so you want to build, right? But used cars is booming, right? We all have tons of used car inventory, but we need places to buy them. So I need those lease returns. I need those CPOs. Mm-hmm. We'll buy your car. Those campaigns are very successful right now. Listen, people are buying cars. Yeah. The car industry is strong. So you have to look at it like, okay, inventory is tight. We're going to have inventory problems. We're grossing. There's not a lot of cars that we're giving away.
Right.
We need to, now is the time for the industry to make some money, because it's going to be rough I don't think anyone has an amazing outlook for the fall, or have a lot of question marks around the fall and what's going to happen. So I think, the more dealers can hang on to that growth and not give away cars is really important right now. Mm-hmm. Of course grossing always was, but now we got to really gross.
Yeah, I think that's a good point.
And that's what's happening. That's what you're seeing. Customers aren't complaining. Customers aren't fighting you in the showroom. They're not nickel and diming things. You see in service, people are investing in their cars. They're spending more money in service than they did before. So, you even you're seeing more lease buyouts. You hear people talking about buying out their leases, so between all those things, the only hiccups are going to be the world. Yeah. And what happens between COVID and elections and the economy, those are the question marks that are out there. And, I don't know, my my glass ball here isn't real. It's pretty cloudy still. So
what? You're supposed to have all the answers.
I usually, the crystal ball usually shares them all, but right now it's no. Now it's and that's, but the American consumer is still buying. Or let's say at least the one here in the Northeast and what you read in a lot of parts of the country, people are still buying.
Yeah, and I think
not selling. We're not selling to the volume that we did because of inventory issues, but we're grossing.
Mm-hmm. And the rebound is much stronger than what people thought from
COVID.
So,
yeah.
Especially, so I was going to ask you, especially in New York, or from what I've seen, and I think I just read something recently. I think it was either Washington Post or Wall Street Journal. I think it was or New York Times, but it was saying how New York specifically, a lot of New Yorkers are going to become first-time car owners because no one wants to take public transportation. Are you seeing that in your
We
store?
have.
Yeah.
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, New Rochelle a little more than Huntington because we're closer to the city.
Right.
But I talk to my friends who are dealers in the city. 55-year-old people coming in to buy a car for their first time with a learner's permit in their hand.
Wow, that's crazy.
That's what's happening right now. People who have
Are you legally allowed to sell a car to someone who has a learner's permit?
This is if they can get insurance.
Wow.
But the fact of the matter is that people who have lived in the city their whole life, or who live in the city now, who have never owned a car, who have lived on the subways and the buses, and the trains, those people don't want to get on subway, buses, and trains. I mean, you were just up here recently. I don't know if you went into the city. There's no taxis.
I didn't go into the city, and I drove from Miami to New York. Like that's the type of the demand that automotive is going to have.
Right. Look, you can't even buy an RV. Forget about it.
I couldn't
you
even.
Can't rent one. You can't buy one. People were so worried. Hertz was going bankrupt. Enterprise, they're all screwed. You can't even rent a car right now.
Oh yeah.
Okay?
Oh yeah.
People want to be in cars. They want to be in big cars. They know that they got to be a little independent. People aren't getting on airplanes, even though we're seeing more and more plane and air traffic. People still aren't there yet, but they're comfortable with their own family and their own car and traveling in their own way. And that's why we're seeing a good economy right now. Plus, listen, unemployment in some parts of the country is rough, real rough. Yeah. Here we're a little better because a lot of people work in offices and they've transitioned to working at home and they're still working.
Yeah.
Everyone in the suburbs is still working. They're still making their paychecks.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I'm still making my paychecks. I'm not paying to commute. I'm not paying to go out. I'm not paying to go on vacation. Well, let's just get a bigger, better car.
Right.
Because we're going to be driving around more. And we're going to be, let's fix this same mentality on why people are buying, why Wayfair stock is through the roof, because everyone's buying on Wayfair to improve their homes.
And their decks. Their patio furniture.
I can tell you, I have spent a lot of money on my outside deck this year and things for the kids. And, Amazon comes every day. The guy and I high-five each other. I mean,
I hope you elbow. Just kidding.
Well, we wash out. But I mean, that's where we are right now. That's where the world is. And, I wish or any, if anyone tells you they know what's going to happen, they're lying, because no one knows.
Right.
Not even the pollsters. No one. It's just no one trusts anything anymore. No one believes anything anymore. And how can you make predictions when the world's like that?
Yeah. It's been quite the year.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, Mike, thank you so much. We started talking about BuySell and marketing and data, and then we just went and you just shared your knowledge and everything else, which I love. Thank you so much for joining us today. I really, really appreciate your time and your insight. As always, it's just incredible and so interesting. So I'm excited to have you on our podcast again soon.
No problem. Thank you for having me. This was awesome. I had so much fun.
Thank you so much. And to our listeners, if you liked this episode, please subscribe, Inside Auto Podcast. Thank you so much.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks for listening to Inside Auto Podcast. Check out our other episodes with top entrepreneurs and industry leaders.